band is this? Oh. Everybody poops sometimes. Give us the smoothie. Wake up, sweetness.
Your first time should be more than special.
I'm in, Savannah said. Good Lord, Gemma. When a man and a woman, in this case, really, really love each other, what happens is they fuck.
Ooh, hello?
Oh, dang it, I lost my fish. This next word almost sounds like Quidditch. Quidditch milade Diana Agosiagath an Fiedian. As much as I love fucking you, sweetness. We stared into each other's eyes whilst I moaned in ecstasy. Having consumed half of the bourbon, I keep saying bourbon. You know, every time I mess up on a word, Stunt Mama just shows up.
She had her seductive smile on her lips.
I said we couldn't have sex. I didn't say anything about everything else. Ew. Happy to help. Biatch. You are the spark of light in the vastness of my night. His note, like a finality to a beautiful, breathtaking song. Check 1, 2. There we go. Pro streamer at work. Thank you. Good grief. I wasn't muted. It's just the microphone. I updated OBS, which maybe that was my fault. So, because I updated OBS, I had to re-engage the microphone. Which isn't just as simple as on-off. There's like 3 things I gotta do. Anyway, we're here now. It's fine. Hi, welcome. Welcome to Thursday. What's up? It always kills things. It really does. You know? It's a win-win situation. Right. Anyway, it's an exciting day. We're starting a brand new book. The Fall. And I'm very excited. As you could see from the video introing this book, it is a bit different from the others that we have read, or at least presumed different. So I'm excited about that. And then the obvious thing, there's no more channel points because my affiliation, as I said, is gone. I removed it. It's official. Now, if anyone's like, what? What? Why? Why would you do such a thing? Watch the video. It's a 6-minute video and it explains everything. So I will leave that link available for a while because I want to make sure everyone gets an opportunity. So you want us to spam that? Only if, you know, it's necessary. That being said, since you mention it, I need some new mods. Or I should say, I need more mods, not replacement mods. I need extra mods. So if anyone of my regulars is, you know, curious or wants to dip their toes in, you are more than welcome. I'm actually going into my roles manager right meow, just in case. Kay's here. Hi, Kay. How you doing? Like Amlas, you're here a lot. You know the inner workings of Twitch. If you would like to be knighted with a shiny sword made out of paper and books, you're welcome to have it. I don't mind, but we'll pass out. What? Don't pass out. There's no need to pass out. Mitchell Fiber. Hi. Good to see you. You would be honored. Well, it is my honor. The honor is all mine. Let me, wait, do I need to do this from there, or can I mean fall asleep. Oh. I was gonna say, like, you don't have to do that. Please hold. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Okay, Amlas, if you refresh, you should be good to go. If I drop out suddenly, it's because of a tornado warning. Oh no, they're all around us. We're only supposed to get rain here, so I am very sorry that you're getting that kind of weather right now. That stinks. Very sorry. Very sorry to hear. Hopefully you're safe. Please stay safe. We don't like tornadoes, okay? Other fun notes. 3 things that are exciting. 1, new book. 2, affiliate status removed. The third thing, I am also now multi-streaming. I am live on Kick. I am live on Kick. So if any of you are Kick users and you're, or even if you're not Kick users, it's just kick.com/Atkinson1020, just like it is twitch.tv. So feel free to check that out too if you wish. But not a big deal. I do have both chats open. So Kick doesn't have, or I should say OBS doesn't yet have an integration where I can have the Kick chat come into OBS at the same time. I could use a platform called Restream, but they put their logo in like the top corner unless you pay for it. And obviously I'm not going to pay for it. So this is easy enough just to have the streaming window of Kick. But yeah, Kick is just like Twitch. It's just a new version of a streaming platform. It's still in its infancy, if you will, if I can say it that way. But either way, it doesn't matter. I could also add things like Instagram Live or Facebook Live or YouTube. I could go in many directions with this. And I may, but I thought I would start with just Kick, you know? I just wanted to see how it was going to go. You think Soda was on Kick as well? Yeah, she might have been. I haven't seen Soda in a while. I hope she's okay. I hope she's been absent just because she's super busy and being amazingly successful with her store and her career and life and family and all that stuff. I picked a generic-ish puzzle for tonight. She was in Tiggs a couple days ago. Well, that's good. All right. Yeah, I've been gone for the past few days. I was in Chicago. So, yeah, I wasn't around much, but I'm home now, obviously. Here's your puzzle. Pugsy Malone. Since this book is talking about a crime that's committed, or crimes, plural, I thought, you know what, we'll have a crimes-based photograph. She's doing well, closed her store. Well, that's too bad, but hopefully for the good reasons. Happy with her new job, good. And new boyfriend, all right, great, good for her. See, all good things. All right, I've not opened this book, as per usual. Exclamation point fall if you want to see more about this book and its authors, plural. This book is written by 2 people. That's a lot of white on the puzzle. Yeah. It's more of a cream color, really. Yeah. It'll be fine. You'll be great. Don't worry about it. So, as per usual, I'm going to read the back, and then we'll get into the actual book. And don't forget, after stream at about 9 p.m. Central, feel free to join this Discord. It's not mine, it's a friend of mine. She's streaming right now, Stunt Mama. Today is her 3-year anniversary on Twitch. We will be in her event chat reading Fourth Wing in Discord after this. So, lots of reading today. All right. I'm going to read the back, and then we'll get into it. So at the very top it says, a gruesome murder. A missing child. A society that doesn't care. A detective who won't stop until he has answers. In a climate-ravaged near future, Lieutenant Jason Thane is on the hunt for the source of a new gene-mangling drug ravaging the streets of Philadelphia. Splice. But when a grisly murder shows up in his crime scene and a kid goes missing, he and his team are now in a race against the clock to find the killer. The investigation lands closer to home than Jason was expecting, as the privileged elite push back to maintain the status quo. The Fall is a debut novel and first book of Connor Stevens and Brian Wiggins' The Fall Trilogy. If you like The Hunger Games or Divergent, if you like Jack Ryan or Jack Reacher, and I like all of those, then you'll love a series that combines the best of all of them in a fast-paced, thrilling mystery. That's this book. So feel free to check that out anytime you want. Exclamation point fall. I've got my water. I've got my hot tea simmering on the warmer. I even have a candle. Just because. I'm now going to bend open the pages. So yes, so as you heard from the back, this is a trilogy. This is book 1. And I like reading book 1s of things because it gives you a taste of what's to come. And then hopefully you can give them a follow. And if you like what you're hearing, it'll give you an opportunity to go get the others. Oh, hold on. In the front here, we have an important message from the authors. It says, we poured a lot of energy into writing this book and, hopefully, making it a good read. Before we get into the story, we have one simple request. Please do not forget to leave a review for this book. The value of book reviews, even just a single review consisting of a few words, can have a tremendous impact on the trajectory of books and people who read them, and the authors who write them. If you spend the next 30 seconds leaving a review for this book within the marketplace you purchased it, it will not only help us enormously, but it will also help readers like you who are looking for amazing stories like the one you're about to read. Whether you choose to leave a review for this book now or later, by simply sharing one thing you learned or liked about this book. You will help support us in writing more books like this and more readers around the world who are seeking similar books. We are grateful you have chosen to purchase this book and taking the time to read it. You can find our other books at any Amazon, or there's a website here, CB as in Charlie Bravo, -books.com. You can also get updates through our mailing list. Thank you, Connor and Brian. So what's the takeaway message here? They want you to leave a review, and they would appreciate it. All right. So as I flip through the pages here, there is no table of contents. It immediately goes to the first chapter, chapter 1. There is no title chapter, it's just chapter 1. So I'm going to try and figure out how many chapters we actually have and how many pages this goes to. It looks like it goes to 326 pages. And chapter 26 is the last chapter. Okay. So with that being said, I'll take a quick sip. I recorded earlier today as well for an episode of the voice work I've been hired for. So I'll be doing a lot of reading today. It's good stuff. All right. Here we go. This is The Fall, Chapter 1. Jason Thane took a deep breath of recycled air from his cycler and cleared the fog from his goggles. 3 months of investigation, 17 different search warrants, and 6 different informants working a whisper campaign to increase the pressure had finally paid off. Tommy DeLuca was caught, flipped, and was going to get Jason access to what was rumored to be one of the largest splice stash houses in the Eastern Gaps. He checked his watch. It read just before noon. He had been out of his usual police-issued UV gear and in civvies for less than an hour. He didn't want to draw attention when they entered the basement, bolt hole, and perpetual party where DeLuca's contact was allegedly found. A film of sweat crawled on Jason's skin. He stretched as best as he could in the confined space of the driver's seat for the 100th time, trying to work the cramps out so he could run if he needed to. All that was left now was for DeLuca to lead him in, make the introduction, and hopefully sweet-talk their way up to the top floor of the apartment building. The balding man with a rat-tail mullet and a hopeless comb-over trying to cover a losing battle with baldness sat in the back seat, muttering to himself. His eyes darted between staring at his shoes and out the window, as he constantly wiped sweat from his brow with his sleeve. Jason couldn't help but smile under his cycler. Is that all? Jason scanned the block again. It was noon, and the street was practically empty, devoid of the usual bustle of people one would expect to see in a large city in the middle of the day. Even in a less affluent area like the Gaps, the places where the sun did actually shine to everyone's detriment there. The sporadically and sometimes haphazardly mounted bargain bin and makeshift sun shields offered minimal protection at best. A stark contrast to the streets of the center city, he noticed, where under the protection of the towering sky shields, the upper crust denizens, I'm not sure what that is, were able to more freely go about their day, though still needing a degree of UV protection. He did note a few higher quality shields being installed around the neighborhood. Maybe that's a good sign. Maybe these landlords are finally putting some money into these properties. He saw a group of kids roofing, hopping over and rolling under the ventilation pipes and utility boxes, leaping the short alleys between buildings, sometimes even braving the long, thin stretches of support beams and breezeways crossing streets with their arms outstretched for balance. Part of him wanted to warn the kids off, to shout at them to play somewhere safer. Another part of him warmed with the memory of doing the same thing with his friends when he was that age, racing to see who could reach the sunset first. Jason signaled silently for the interdiction team, hidden up and down the block in unmarked patrollers or disguised as civilians on the street, to ready and hold. His partner in the passenger seat, Les, grunted, the sound muted and distorted by the cycler's intercom. "Estás, Virgo?" No, Seguro? Sorry. Jason gave a stiff nod as he gave his UV gear a final check. "Don't want to spook the neighbors. No sense in going loud unless we have to. And we've got kids on the roofs. Don't want to create a bad situation." Les returned the nod, his expression unreadable under his cycler and UV glasses, but Jason saw the faint tension in his partner's shoulders, a stiffness in his back. He wasn't happy about this. "You've seen this new splice. Makes PCP look like kids' cereal." Sending in the entire team was the safer option. Jason knew this, but he also knew that sending an entire tactical team into a neighborhood watering hole where the biggest crime was not paying for a liquor license would not endear him for the 15th squad to the community. And if the community wasn't in sync with the police, or on at least the issue of Splice overrunning the streets, then one arrest wouldn't make a lick of difference. "You go in with an army, they'll be gone before you get to the second floor," DeLuca said from the back seat. "I've got this," Jason said, hoping his partner was reassured. He turned on his comm to communicate with the rest of the team. "Belford, you're on the back door just in case." There was no response. "Belford, respond." More silence. "Belford." "I'm on it." Derek Belford finally responded. "Still should be me going in the front, though." "Belford on the rear door. Check." Jason responded and cleared the comms. "How does one person get to be so entitled?" Les asked. "It's a gift," Jason said. "He didn't even need to get a gene mod, just born with it." "Well, good call. I can only imagine how it would go if we were first in." Les shook his head. Jason smiled under his cycler and refocused his attention. The anticipatory adrenaline spike flooded Jason's chest. It made his arms and legs tingle, and he closed his eyes and let the same feeling he got before every race, before every match, before every competition he had ever done wash over him, embracing it rather than pushing it away. After a moment, he honed the sensation down to a razor edge and exited the car. Even under his protective gear, the blast of the heat was palpable, despite the sun being hidden behind a blanket of gray clouds. He reflexively checked his civilian UV gear one more time, making sure no skin was exposed. The knot between his shoulders released a tiny bit when he confirmed everything was buttoned up properly. Jason strode across the street with DeLuca. They descended the stairs of the basement bar entrance. Jason noticed it was less a bar, more an old storefront with thick brown paper taped over the windows. He could hear the muted music and conversations as he approached. He took one last deep breath, feeling his lungs expand, let it out, and pulled open the speakeasy door. The sunlight cut a sharp silhouette on the floor that disappeared as the door swung shut. Jason's goggles adjusted to the low light almost instantly, and he could see the cast of characters around the makeshift bar. Third shifters, a few hours into tying one on after work. Barflies just starting their day holding down a stool. A mix of shifty-eyed rabble, side-eyed Jason with suspicion. A trio of college kids, one with I have not seen this word used in a sentence before. I'm quite surprised. A trio of college-age kids, one with preternaturally blue eyes that only came from genetic modification, occupied a corner table, likely slumming it with some dangerous gappers, so they could brag to their friends. "Lose the gear," Jason said so only DeLuca could hear him. "What? Why?" DeLuca whispered back. "Because I don't want you bolting the first chance you get." DeLuca hesitated a moment before slowly stripping off his headgear and UV coverings. He placed them in an available cubby near the entrance vestibule. "There, happy?" "As a clam," Jason replied. "Okay, where's the guy?" "Patience, mon frere," DeLuca said. "These things have a kind of ebb and flow, you know? I'm already putting my neck on the line. Don't rush it and make things worse." Then, almost to himself, DeLuca muttered, "I can't believe I agreed to this." "Me either," Jason said. "But here we are. Let's go." Okay, it's kind of weird talking about someone in third person when you share the same name. Just gonna throw that out there. "Like me either," I said. Mama's House Gaming. Hi. "Thank you, I told you. Now you know how it feels." Yes, but the only difference is I'm reading it out loud. When you're reading it, you're probably just reading it in your head. But still, same outcome, I suppose. How are you, Mama's House Gaming? You alright? That's good. I'm alright too. DeLuca meandered through the crowd. Jason stayed as close as he could, and the skin on the back of his neck itched. "Are you? You don't believe me?" No, I'm not too bad. I had a quick trip to Chicago the other day. Got back yesterday. And even though it was a quick, like 30-hour-ish trip, it still kind of knocked the wind out of me. But I'm doing okay. I really am. Supernatural, what's up? How you doing? How you doing? So, big day. I did remove my affiliate status, as mentioned. New book. And I'm also streaming on Kick right now. Multi-stream. Any trip, no matter how large or small. Yeah, it can kind of do that. Plus, I drove, because it's only about 4 hours, so. So you're one of those? What do you mean? What do you mean, one of those? One of those what? What you gonna say, huh? I missed the beginning of your stream. I only popped in as soon as you started the book. Oh, that's okay. If anyone still has questions about why I removed affiliate, feel free to type in !affiliate and you will get a YouTube link to a private video that you can watch that explains everything. It's about 6 minutes. So grab the link whenever you want and watch it anytime. But it explains everything. Alright, we're at the bottom of page 5, by the way. And the skin on the back of his neck itched. Hi, Haiti. I'm late but here, don't worry about it. You have arrived exactly as you meant to. Too many people caught his attention, like the woman with a purple mohawk staring at him from the corner. Or the stoned guy with a scorpion tattoo on his arm sprawled out on a couch with 2 women, all of whom looked stoned out of their minds. I'm starting to regret not coming in without someone to watch my back. DeLuca held up a hand. 1 minute. There's my guy. Jason moved to follow him. Are you nuts? DeLuca said in a harsh whisper. These people don't know you. You trying to get me killed? This doesn't work if I'm not with you, Jason whispered back. No stash, no deal. And you do your dime. Just let me make the introduction, okay? DeLuca said. This guy gets us in the door, but only if he trusts both of us. So just let me work. Okay? A flop of sweat had broken out on DeLuca's forehead. Fine, Jason replied. Make it quick. DeLuca approached a tall man with a shaved head and tattoos on his scalp. The man did not appear happy to see DeLuca, and from where Jason stood, it looked like tense words were exchanged, though he couldn't make out what was said through the crowd's jostling and murmured conversations that filled the air like white noise. Finally, DeLuca returned. Okay, we're in. His voice was tight. You sure? Jason said. You don't sound confident. No, I'm sure, DeLuca said, but Jason didn't hear conviction behind his words. That way, over in the back. The stairs will take us up to the top floor. They've got all the other entrances up there blocked. Choke point. Good security. Makes this a nightmare if things go south and we have to go loud. DeLuca led Jason through the crowd. Jason noticed his guide glanced around more, almost twitching whenever someone bumped or brushed against him. Calm down, Jason said under his breath. Calm down, DeLuca repeated with a rueful laugh. These guys are nuts. They'll kill me, and after I'm dead, then they'll go to work on me. I already told you that we'd protect you, Jason said, grabbing DeLuca's elbow and steering him forward. That's the deal. DeLuca grumbled something unintelligible. The way you protected Rusty when you flipped him, he growled. Then he sighed. You know what? Screw it. The telltale click and hiss of a splice ampule snapped Jason's attention to DeLuca's thigh where he had jabbed the dose in. Where did he get that? The elbow that cracked Jason in the nose left him seeing stars and stumbling. DeLuca darted to the rear entrance. The door slammed open with a loud bang and hung awkwardly on its hinges as he sprinted into the harsh light outside. I'm thrilled you're here, bot friend. The starter pistol went off in his head, and Jason accelerated instantly. He's running. Rear entrance. Jason's electronically distorted voice echoed in the small room. In pursuit. Jason was already out the door when radioed acknowledgments and commands for redeployment. Commands for redeployment came through his earpiece, and his team moved to intercept. Okay, you gotta go. That's okay. Take care of yourself, alright? Jason felt the corner of his mouth twitch in a slight smile at how calm everyone sounded. No shouting, or cursing, or panic. Just a team of professionals adapting to the situation. His team. The back door opened into an alley littered with detritus from overflowing dumpsters and whatever crap the wind blew in. Jason didn't slow as his goggles adjusted back to being outside, and he grabbed the door frame to make the sharp turn to follow DeLuca. The squat man was pumping his arms furiously and bounced off a parked car, using the vehicle to make the right turn without losing velocity, plowing through Belford and sending the larger cop sprawling on his back. Why wasn't Belford on the back door? And how did DeLuca get that far ahead? Interesting. Jason willed himself to run faster, controlling his breathing as best as he could to avoid overworking the cycler. A second later, he was past the car and noted the dent in the door where DeLuca had collided with it. Now in full run behind his quarry, Jason registered that DeLuca wasn't wearing any protective gear, just the old, stained sleeveless undershirt and jogging pants he had worn into the basement party. At virtually the same moment, Les's voice came over his earpiece. Is he not wearing? Yeah, Jason replied. No gear. Is he nuts? The Gaian's voice crackled over the comms. Drone just spotted 5 runners on the roof right now. Came out of our building. Redeploy, Jason commanded between breaths. DeLuca must have warned them. Don't let them get away. Officers radio in their acknowledgments. DeLuca ran like a bear was chasing him, and he was pulling ahead. I know he's spliced up, but I should have caught him by now. And the sun exposure alone should have dropped him. How is he? DeLuca leaped over a chain-link fence with what looked like little effort. DeLuca's spliced up. Something new. Jason radioed to his team. Anyone still in pursuit, approach with extreme caution. More acknowledgments, but Jason barely registered them. He calmed his mind, stilled all other thoughts floating around in there, and focused on the target in front of him. A deep breath in, hold, exhale. A deep breath in, hold, exhale. He remembered playing Star Wars with Alexei outside in the front yard, imagining they were piloting the Millennium Falcon as they got ready to sprint down a hill together. His friend turning to him and saying in his 12-year-old cracking voice, "Punch it." That's my impression. Thank you. Jason poured on the acceleration, willing each foot to launch him forward faster, to lift and fall quicker than the previous step, refining his form with each stride to maximize his power and speed. They weaved in and out of alleyways. DeLuca stopped, gaining distance. Then the space between them started diminishing. One step at a time, Jason closed the distance. They reached a parking structure. DeLuca ran up through the exit ramp, vaulting the toll bar, and Jason pursued, curving around and around as they climbed higher and higher. I would have been freaking exhausted by now. They reached the roof, an expanse of sun-baked blacktop with nothing above but sky. DeLuca skidded to a stop, turned and swung a haymaker at Jason. He was quick, and the blow landed, sending Jason spinning to the ground. The overweight man moved in with the grace of someone who never learned how to fight properly, and with the speed of someone much lighter. Jason was faster. He got to his feet and moved forward in an instant, closing the distance between them more quickly than DeLuca had expected. Before the squat man could throw another punch, Jason was inside his reach, landing elbow after elbow squarely into DeLuca's face and throat. Jason drove him back, but DeLuca's continued to swing wildly, occasionally landing a glancing blow. The large man drove his head forward into Jason's face, and Jason saw a flash of white and then red at the impact, and then heard the crunch of his nose breaking. Jason clinched the back of DeLuca's head and pulled down, ramming his knee up with as much force as possible. Bone connected with flesh, and Jason followed by driving the point of his elbow straight down into the back of DeLuca's head. Ouch. DeLuca was driven down to one knee, then rose to his feet again with a fire in his eye that said he wanted to continue the fight. But his pace slowed and stopped. Jason held his hands up, ready to defend against the next onslaught. He was tired, and he knew he would be sore later, but he also knew he outclassed DeLuca in every way. He just out to outlast him. Tommy DeLuca. Jason started his arrest speech between heavy breaths, but DeLuca was looking at him. His cheeks pulled back in an almost rictus grin, and tendons strained in his neck. The scream that followed was a sure sign that the splice had worn off. DeLuca's skin began to turn bright red, blistering in a few spots, no longer protected by the temporary genetic modification that splice offered. The virtually unfiltered UV radiation instantly gave him the worst sunburn of his life. Jason had seen on more than one occasion, as a beat cop and detective, what happened if exposure wasn't stopped. Sun poisoning, then a high likelihood of multiple cancers in the following years. More prolonged exposure, death. Splice cooker or not, Jason knew no one deserved that fate. He tackled DeLuca to the ground and tried to interpose himself between his former quarry and the sun. He kept his voice calm as he pulled a reflective emergency blanket from a pocket on his jacket, though now the burst of speed he poured on was catching up and he felt out of breath. Suspect down. Repeat, suspect down. We need a bus on my position. Tell paramedics we need to treat for third-degree sun exposure. He covered the writhing man with the blanket as best as he could. Two of his team ran up and did the same with their own emergency blankets. Make sure to replace those when we get back, Jason said between gasps. I don't want to get caught without one. The Gaian jammed an extractor against DeLuca's arm, and a vial filled with blood. She shook the sample and held it to the light. Les jogged up. Ambulance is on its way. Jason nodded to his partner as DeLuca continued to writhe and whimper under the blankets. The Gaian held the sample, now now straighted with different colors, alongside the color-coded testing card. Looks like DeLuca here had a little fast twitch muscle boost and an endurance boost. Maybe a desensitizer, but it's pretty inconclusive. Jason rubbed his jaw where DeLuca had gotten a shot in. Yeah, I picked up on that. I'll bet the exposure burned it out quicker than he expected. The guy in chuckled. Guess he had a hot date planned. Don't think he was planning on it being you, Lou. Belford finally came jogging up at a leisurely pace. Need me? He sounded bored. Why weren't you on the back door? Jason demanded as he held his suspect down. I was, Belford said. No, you got blasted by DeLuca at the end of the alley, not at the door. Same difference, Belford said with a dismissive wave. No, not the same, Les scolded. You could have stopped or slowed him if you had been right on the back door like you were supposed to be. Instead, DeLuca built up a head of steam and pancaked you. It's not my fault you went in too early, Belford whined. He took me by surprise, and I thought I would have a better angle on him from the street, so I made a judgment call. Didn't your parents pay for all those gene mods when you were a kid? The guy-in joked. Faster reflexes, faster recovery, all that? And this guy still treated you like a bowling pin. Huh. Good thing the lieutenant was here, huh? Belford's posture went stiff. Kicked Thane's ass. Hey, Jason shouted. Both of you, knock it off. The guy in get that sample to the lab. Belford, the next time you're assigned to a position, you need to be on that position, not where you think you should be. It's the only way a team works. Got it? Belford somehow glared at Jason through his headgear, and then felt around his belt. Whatever. Jason secured DeLuca, who was finally settling down and felt like his breath was getting under control. Okay, he sighed. Now on to the next thing. And that's chapter 1. So, a bust that went bad. DeLuca, the spy, the informant, goes in, assuming that he's going to help the police. Ends up changing his mind. No surprise there, right? Gives himself some splice and numerous other enhancements. Tries to bail. Doesn't quite work out. Ends up with third-degree burns instead. It does make you wonder, though, when it comes to the sun and this kind of world that they live in, where climate change has really botched things up. How realistic would that be with the sun? I don't know. I wrote something similar in one of my books, where it was dangerous to be out during the day, and houses were fitted with specialized shields, if you will, on the windows to help keep out the sun a little bit more, and people only went out at night when it was safer. I guess that is what is going to happen to us in like 20k years. Could be. This hot tea is delicious and very helpful. I know my mom reacts to the sun really badly. She can't even wear a swimsuit at the beach. Oh, that stinks. Well, as you can see from my gorgeous face and my pasty arm, I do not tan at all. Not even close. So, I can't spend too much time out in the sun without any protection either. It sucks. It really stinks, man. It's like she is allergic and gets super itchy if she's out in the sun without sunscreen or clothing. Wow. That does suck. Really sorry to hear that. That's gotta be kind of a torment in the summer season. Is it with the sun in general, or is it only when it's hot? Because obviously in winter the sun still shines. That's still a thing. But yeah, it just made me wonder if it happened because of the heat more in the summer. Yeah, I bet it's a heat thing, because I will sometimes get like a heat rash sort of thing. Sorry, I'm just deleting something real quick. Yeah, I'll get a heat rash if I'm exposed to the sun for too long and I'm getting really sweaty because I'm, exerting too much. That's definitely an issue, but it doesn't happen very often. But anyway, how are we liking the book so far? Obviously, we're just getting started. One thing I always struggle with when we start a new book is to get into the rhythm of the writers of the book. And I don't know this definitively, but with this book, we have two authors. And I don't know if like one of them wrote a chapter and then the other came in and wrote the next chapter, or if they kind of came together at the same time to write each chapter. I don't know. So it's going to make me curious if we notice any changes in how things are written from chapters to chapters, because that will be a telltale sign that two different people got in there and wrote. But who knows? We'll have to keep our ears open. Okay. Chapter 2 starts us out on page 14. Also, Amazon did a really crummy job with this book. You can't tell from seeing it on the camera, but they really messed up the chopping of this and like printing it. Nothing that the authors did. It's not their fault at all. It's all from production. Oh, I guess I can remove that that timer. Yeah, let's turn that off. We don't need that anymore. Cool. Got it. Okay. Alright, chapter 2, page 14. Here we go. After I yawn. Okay. Tommy DeLuca was taken to the hospital under guard, and Jason's team, along with the phalanx of crime scene technicians, descended upon the Speakeasy building. The chase was over, and the search for evidence and a lead to the next step of the investigation had begun. The plan had been for DeLuca to get them into the stash house, for Jason's team to finally arrest some people above the street-level dealers, and maybe, at long last, make a real dent in the illegal splice operations in that area. The unending tsunami of the drug and related crime, the toll on the addicted from constantly mangling their DNA, the incalculable damage on the families on both sides. Jason felt the fatigue in his very marrow. The op was supposed to provide a short reprieve for the victims, the neighborhood, and his team. DeLuca's severe sun poisoning threw a significant wrench into that plan. It could be days or even weeks before he'd be able to speak to someone. Momentum was vital. Jason knew, and it was time to pivot to a new tactic. Jason motioned over a group of uniformed officers sent to support the operation and led them inside the bar. As soon as he entered, he moved his goggles to rest on his forehead, released his clasp that held this cycler to his face, and let it dangle from the straps around his neck onto his chest. Let's get a canvas going on the apartments upstairs. Murph, you and Park take 2 through 4. Atsina and Santos take 5 through 8. You 3. He nodded to the uniformed officers Ramirez, Geralt, and Novak. Take whatever's left. Anything anyone can tell us about who they've seen coming in and out, hanging with DeLuca, giving the locals a hard time, you know the drill. The officers responded in the affirmative in their muted, distorted tones through their headgear and turned to fulfill the assignment. Whoa, hold up a sec, Jason called. Hold on. Do me a favor. When you start knocking on doors, make sure the headgear is off. The officers looked at each other, their shoulders suddenly a shade tenser, heads cocked to one side a bit, unsure of their request. Sir? Geralt asked. Look, I know you're all used to wearing the gear full time when you're on duty, Jason said, making eye contact as best as he could through their polarized goggles. But this isn't crowd control. These aren't hardened criminals or violent offenders. They're just people trying to get by. We need to connect with these folks, get them to trust us, share information with us. It's not going to happen if you look like you're ready to kick down their door. And let's face it, the masks were designed to be scary. But then, Novak stammered, then they'll see our faces. They'll know who we are. Yeah, Jason nodded. They will. And that's a good thing. If they know you, they're more likely to trust you. And a cop is only as good as their sources. This is how you do it. We're not at war with these people. We're supposed to protect them, not scare the crap out of them. So, masks off while you're inside canvassing. Okay? Slowly, each nodded. Jason hoped he had gotten through to them and they would take their headgear off for their canvass. He sat heavily in one of the well-worn booths and rubbed at his quads. He could feel the blood pooling and the post-race stiffness he was all too familiar with setting in. Les slid into the booth across from him, headgear and goggles still in place. You know, I hate talking to you when you wear that inside, Jason said, half joking, half scolding his partner. I do, but I like to keep an air of mystery about me whenever I can. Les's distorted voice replied. Rio? I didn't know you were streaming. What the heck? Gosh darn it. I am so sorry. I would have had you pulled up. Hi, Rio and friends. Welcome. How you doing? Amlas, this is your chance. Do the shout. Do it. We went long today? Okay. Well, how was Baldur's Gate? I know you like that game. Almost hit close to 6 hours. Jeepers. You must be exhausted. I don't think I've ever seen you stream that long. Good for you. You must be... Well, maybe not now, but you must have been feeling at least a little bit better if you were able to stream that long. So that's good. Thank you for coming to me. It's fantastic. I saved several children. Well, bless your heart. You saved the kids. Guess what, Rio? Not only did we start a new book today, and hi Julie, by the way. All the chat went so fast. I saw you. Hi. I used to stream 6 to 8 hours. BG3 I get caught up in. Well, that makes sense. It's one of those games. Not only are we starting a new book tonight, I have now successfully removed my affiliation to Twitch. And number 3, I am multi-streaming right now. I am also live on Kick. How about those apples? Fun. So, welcome in everybody. Rio, if you need to raid and run, I totally understand. Have at it. Hey, Ashball. I just moved from Kick to YouTube. Yeah, I'm thinking about next stream adding YouTube to my options of multi-stream. Twitch borked what you were saying. Which part? We started a new book. I've removed my affiliate status. That's why there's no channel points, etc. And I'm also streaming live on Kick at the same time. All I was getting on Kick were bots, so I was done with them. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. No reason to stick around if it's not working. But yeah, I have a plugin that I'm using in OBS that allows me to multi-stream. So I'm probably going to add YouTube as well on the next stream. And we'll see. I can add as many as I want to. What are you using? I just set up Restream. I thought about using Restream, but there is an actual plugin that allows you to change the stream keys and stuff so that it gives you the opportunity to go live on your main platform, like Twitch, and then subsequently start yourself live on other platforms at the same time. I'm gonna miss you as an affiliate, but I'll still find ways to spoil you. Well, I still made my PayPal available for donation, but it's not the forefront of why I'm here. Like, none of you should have had any ads, right? That's why I'm here. That's why I made the change. But that link that Amlas kindly posted, !affiliates, watch that video. It's about 6 minutes. It explains everything. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on page 16. Let's see. Let's see. Les was replying back to Jason about the gear on his face. I do, but I like to keep an air of mystery about me whenever I can. Les's distorted voice replied. That it annoys you is a bonus. Have to run to get noms. Have a wonderful stream. Thank you, Rio. And thanks for bringing your people over. I really appreciate it. There was no hiding the humor in his voice. In a severe tone, Les continued. What's next? DeLuca's out for the time being. Yeah, I was not expecting that, Jason said, leaning back in the booth and kicking up a leg on the bench, and started idly playing with a coaster left on the table by his previous occupant. I've seen gene juicers do some weird shit, but that was new. Guess he didn't get the half-life right. Guess so, Jason sighed. So, we've got a canvas going. That might turn something up. Les nodded. Maybe. I sent a few uniforms up to the top floor to check the stash house. I'm guessing everyone bolted, but we'll see. Anything with our runners on the roof that the guy in spotted? Les pulled a notebook out of his pocket and flipped it open. Drone found one. Died of exposure. Didn't wear any gear out, just booked it. Couple of our guys found another, same thing. Idiot not only went out with no gear and no mask, but somehow treed himself on a radio tower. Both made about a mile though, so that's impressive. The others? Didn't the guy say there were 5? You'll need to check with her. None of our guys caught them. The guy's trying to see what she can pull off the drone footage. Good call, Jason said. How about any of the regulars in the bar? Les snorted, an odd sound coming from his comm. No one saw anything, no surprise there. The Scholastic crew over there might be worth looking at, he said, pointing at the college kids. Blue Eyes was carrying weight. Really? How much? 6 grams? Jason felt like his eyes were going to bug out of his head. Shit. That's intent to distribute. Okay. Let's have a talk with the wayward youths. Jason approached the table where 3 young adults wearing expensive-looking casual clothing sat, all with smirks on their faces, half-drunk beers in front of them. All of them shared a similar processed look, their noses and cheekbones and eyes almost too perfect, undoubtedly the result of getting gene jobs in their teens before puberty finished. Jason saw it more and more as parents with the means had their kids' genes polished to clean up any impurities, even ones like normal physical development. Oh, gods forbid if their precious little angels didn't have anything perfectly laid out for them every step of the way. The table was filled with half-drunk pints of beer and their clear face mask cyclers that would let the world see just how pretty they were. Name? Jason asked the one with the overly blue eyes. All 3 of them ignored Jason. Okay, Jason said. He scooped up the beer in front of the blue eyes and swiped it for DNA. You can't do that without his permission, another one said, and he had the overly sculpted look of someone who spent entirely too many hours in the gym, and just as many hours looking at themselves in the mirror. Actually, I can, Jason retorted. Retorted. No, he can't, he said. It's illegal search and seizure, moron. My dad's a lawyer, and he told me. Then your dad's a shitty lawyer, Les replied. It's in plain sight, and you don't actually own the glasses, so you have no claim or personal property over it. Ergo, it's not subject to due process or the need for a warrant, which means we're allowed to pretty much do whatever we want with it. The gym rat's mouth fell open, and no words followed. That's okay. While we wait for you to think of a comeback, we'll talk with your friends here, Les said. Don't hurt yourself. Jason's phone pulsed with the result of the scan. Okay. Bertram Haverford West? Want to tell me why you were carrying felony weight of splice? Bertram, that's a funny name, finally made eye contact with Jason with his two blue eyes, and Jason could feel the hate and condescension coming off of Bertram in waves. Lawyer. Good call, Jason said, and pulled out zip-tie cuffs. Hope it's not your friend's dad. He doesn't sound like he's very good. Stand up. You're under arrest. Bertram didn't move. Jason leaned in close and got right next to Bertram's ear. You can either stand up and do as you're told, Jason said quietly and slowly, or I can spank you right here and embarrass you in front of your friends. Jason backed away a step and locked eyes with Bertram. Please give me a reason. Bertram finally stood and held his hands out in front of him. Jason zipped the cuff off on one wrist, spun him around, pulled the free hand behind Bertram's back, and finished securing the cuffs. That's right. Spank. Okay, you two are next. There was a crash behind him, and Jason whipped his head around. Belford had one of the patrons, an older man, bent over a table, pressing their head into it. Les made a gesture with his head that said he would handle the rest of the Bulgari, and Jason strode over to the other cop. What's the issue? Jason demanded. He blew over the limit, Belford said. Give me some cuffs. I'm taking him in. Jason sighed. Sir, are you planning to drive? The older man shook his head as best as he could while Belford shoving it into the table. No, I live down the street. Let him up, Jason said. Belford didn't move and glared at Jason. Now, detective, Jason said. Belford still didn't move. His glare intensified. This blisterback was mad dogging me. Jason glared at Belford. With me. Now. Before releasing the older man, Belford hesitated, and Jason walked briskly to an isolated corner. The two men stared at each other in silence for a moment. Jason spoke once he felt like he wasn't going to shout. I don't know how many times I need to have this conversation with you. Stop harassing people. Belford gritted his teeth. The same way you were harassing those kids? They were carrying felony weight. That man was drinking, which, last I checked, was legal. Only difference I see is that he's a gapper, and they are clearly Bulgari. Second, why did you need me to give you cuffs? Where are yours? Belford hesitated. I forgot them. Again? This is the third time. You need to show up to work prepared. Jason brought his face close to Belford's. Lastly, if I ever hear that term come out of your mouth again, you and I are going outside. Now get your shit together and go back to the office. Start your reports. We don't need you here. Jason remained inches from Belford's face. Belford's jaw clenched and unclenched. He affixed his cycler and goggles and left without saying another word. This Belford guy sounds like a real winner. He's probably playing for the other team, too. Jason realized the room had gotten very quiet, and most of the officers and patrons were staring at him. Back to work, Jason said loud enough for everyone to hear. Les approached. Well, that wasn't smart. Yeah, the mouth on him, Jason agreed. Les shook his head. No, I meant on your part. He's Chief Swan's pet, and Bogari to boot. That's going to come back and bite you in the ass. Jason knew Les was right, but he couldn't bring himself. Oh, thank you for the follow. Moog? Moog? Is that how you pronounce that? Mugat? I appreciate the follow. Thank you. I hope you're well. Feel free to chat or not. It's totally up to you. We're just reading a book. You do what you want, but you're welcome to chill. Where was I? Ah, right. Jason knew Les was right, but he couldn't bring himself to admit it out loud to the veteran cop. He's borderline incompetent and an overt bigot, Jason finally said, low enough that only Les could hear. I don't care if he was born rich. He brings nothing to the team, and if I had my wish, he would never have been forced on me. If wishes were horses, we'd be knee-deep in shit, Les retorted. Just saying. Don't expect that to go unanswered. The rapid thumping of multiple people running down old steps interrupted Jason's train of thought. 2 uniformed officers burst out of the door leading to the stairwell into the main bar area. One ripped off his mask and vomited noisily and messily onto the floor. The other leaned against the wall as their knees gave out and they slid down to the floor. Their chest rose and fell in great gasps, audible through the cycler. The fatigue of the chase and fight immediately left Jason, and he was on his feet, rushing to the officers, Les at his side. Hey, estás bien? He began to loosen the cycler straps. The officer reached up 2 shaky hands and pulled the mask off, but with a clumsy grip, like they weren't sure what her hands were for. Holy shit, she repeated over and over between gasps of breath. Jason gripped her upper arm in what he hoped was a reassuring manner. Officer, he looked at her name tag. Gorski. Hey, Gorski, look at me. Just breathe. Look at me. Gorski took 2 more ragged breaths, then took 1 deep one, let it out, and turned to face Jason. Her eyes were wide and wild, and she still inhaled and exhaled unevenly. I've never seen anything like that. Her voice was small. What? Seen what? Jason gently prodded. Gorski only shook her head, her mouth open as if to speak, but no words came out. Her partner had finished emptying his stomach and was hugging his knees to his chest, gently banging the back of his head against the side of the bar as he rocked back and forth. Medic! Les called out as Jason affixed his cycler and goggles in place. Whatever was up there, whatever they had seen, wasn't something that needed to be handed gently. And a part of him wanted the armor of anonymity the mask provided. The officers were terrified, and that alone gave him pause. Without saying a word, Jason ascended the stairs, gun drawn, and Les and his team followed. They had been working together on the task force for over a year and knew each other's body language and tics like they were their own. The efficiency and discipline calmed Jason's nerves, and he stepped more boldly with his team at his back. 5 flights of stairs later, they exited carefully into the hallway. The walls were exposed red brick, occasionally covered where or with chipped and peeling plaster. The floor was covered with threadbare carpeting and looked wavy in places, like too much water damage had warped the wood underlayment. Jason was sure he would smell wet earth, dust, and mildew if his cycler wasn't on. These bare bulbs provided the only light. Jason cleared a doorway on the right, a laundry area with a washing machine that looked like it hadn't seen better days, and a dryer of comparable state. They stopped at each doorway, one clearing the room, the rest watching the hall. It was slow going, and Jason felt his anxiety rising with each step, but he also didn't want to rush. Something had scared the crap out of the uniforms, and something like that wasn't to be taken lightly. They finally reached the last door in the hallway. Rather than an open doorway or a cheap wooden door, this one was a thick metal fire door that was slightly ajar. Jason's team stacked up at the door. He held his hand over his shoulder and counted down from 3. He pushed the door open. His goggles adjusted to the fluorescent lights that illuminated the area as he and his team entered. The only sound was the gently humming commercial refrigerators set to a cool 34 degrees. Jason counted 6 in his line of sight. The glass panels on the doors showed shelves filled to capacity with racks of glass vials. Aside from overturned furniture and the general clutter that filled the room, nothing seemed out of sorts. Nothing that would cause 2 officers to run panicked and render them virtually catatonic. He motioned to the team, and they spread out to search, weapons at the ready, as they had many times before. Jason checked his breathing, consciously slowing it and calming himself, and stepped forward. It only took a few steps before he saw the blood splattered on the wall, and only a few more to see there was more, much more than those splatters. Much more than those splatters indicated. He slowly maneuvered around a pony wall that separated the kitchen from the rest of the apartment, and found the source. Bodies. How many, he couldn't tell. There were too many parts strewn about to do an accurate count, too many pieces ground into a paste to even fully identify them as individuals, but enough ragged meat to leave no doubt in Jason's mind that they were human. Lovely. He felt the heat of bile rising in the back of his throat, but he choked it down and buried the glibbering part of his brain under a metric ton of detachment. There would be time to unpack what he was feeling later. "On me," he called to the team, hoping his stoicism would come through. If he could stay calm, so could they. They gathered around, and each one stopped dead in their tracks at the sight. Les removed his goggles like the optics were lying to him. The Gaian stared stoically at the carnage. One of the uniformed officers who followed them up crossed himself and mouthed the silent prayer. But all stayed on their feet, and after their initial shock, all steeled themselves. They were bad guys to hunt. He knelt near the pile and extended his phone towards it. The temperature of, Jason didn't know what to call it, read it's 97 degrees. Less than 2 hours. We were downstairs while this was happening. Call the medical examiner and get the crime scene up here. Jason could hear how cold his voice was. He needed it to be, his... What? Hi, Killa. I'm confused. Question. Just curiosity here. Oh, it's because you bought a 6-month sub? Oh, this was a few months ago. Okay. I was starting to get really nervous there. I thought you had just done it last month when I said I'm removing my Twitch. You bought a 6-month though? I didn't know that. My goodness. Well, thank you that you did that. I had no idea. It doesn't tell me if people do it in advance. You're too much. Can we get a shout out for Killa, please? That was super kind of you. How are you, by the way? I hope you are well. And you're my friend too. How's Hunt Showdown going? Maybe Amlas disappeared for a second. I'm well, just got back from dinner with a friend. Oh, you're in Ohio again. Well, that's lovely. There we go. Ah, 7 Days to Die was your last one. For some reason, I thought you were playing Hunt, but I don't know why. Anyway, doesn't matter. I hope dinner was nice. Hope you had something good. I might actually end up being back in Ohio, Columbus, I think, in June. It's still a maybe, though. There's a conference that I might go to, but it's not decided if I'm officially going to go, so. Sicilian spaghetti. Mamma mia. That sounds very good. Delicious. Excellent. Well, welcome in. We're gonna finish up this chapter, chat a little bit, and then I'll be reading in Discord in about 30-ish minutes. You might be back in Columbus in June. Well, if I'm there, I will let you know, because that'd be cool to catch up. That'd be very cool. The conference I'm going to is the biggest one of our industry. It's like the mega conference. So I'll have to see what my schedule will allow, but I'll make something work. Don't worry. So yeah, that'd be cool. But yeah, I'll let you, I think I want to say 10th through the 12th, but I'll have to double check because I'm second guessing that. And like I said, it's still not official that I'm going yet. It's a tentative. It's on my calendar. I'm planning like I'm going, but not 100% guarantee. I'll just be returning to work in June from my... What surgery are you getting? If you want to talk about it, you certainly don't have to. Or you can whisper it to me if you want. That works too. You damn me? Cool. Yep, that's totally fine. Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. We're just finishing up chapter 2, and we'll see if we have enough time for chapter 3, but I don't know. It depends how long it is. All right. We're at the bottom of page 24. Right, here we go. Warn them first, and get the chief of detectives on the horn. I'll need to update her. This just got way more complicated. The Gaian had reaffixed her headgear. Did someone just do us a favor? She sounded uncertain of her own comment, like it had surprised her. I don't know, Jason replied. I don't know what this is. Bile rose in his throat, and he swallowed the rancid fluid. Okay, DNA scans on everything. I want to know who all these people were, every person who was ever in this room. Cameras, he said, and pointed to the devices mounted around the room. Probably nothing on them, but check anyway. Maybe we'll get lucky. Nagayan, can you pull up the drone footage from over the area found in the last 2 hours beyond what we already have? Maybe we got lucky and we caught the perp leaving. His team silently fanned out and did their jobs. They swabbed surfaces for DNA retrieval, interfaced their phones with the cameras, and documented everything. Nagayan took out her portable screen and brought up the requested footage. Lieutenant? Jason noticed a uniformed cop standing in the doorway, angled to avoid a direct line of sight of the meat pile. Chief Swan wants to speak with you. Can you patch the call through to my phone? Jason asked. She's here, sir. The entire team stopped what they were doing and looked at the officer. Jason didn't need to see their faces or any gap or sign to know they all had the same expression stuck somewhere between shock and incredulity. Look who decided to get their UV gear faded for something, Les said, and a few chuckles from the others followed. Jason looked at his partner and said nothing, and after a moment, Les turned back to his task and said, Sorry. Jason nodded and turned back to the officer in the doorway. Lead the way. And that's the end of chapter 2. So we obviously know, based on the back of the book, that there is a gruesome murder. But when I hear the words gruesome murder, I only think of one person. Singular. What these guys have just stumbled upon makes it sound like a massacre, not a murder. But we don't know anything yet. At least, nothing specific, right? So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. And I'm just browsing ahead to take a look at how long chapter 3 is. There is no way we're going to get this finished in 30 minutes. It's too long. And there's actually a couple of really cool what am I thinking of? Pauses in the story, like where time has moved on. It looks like a DNA thing with the curviness and the lines. I can't word tonight. Like a gene thing. You know what I mean. Don't judge me. My brain is mush. So yeah, we'll have to get to chapter 3 next time, because on Thursdays I have to be ready to read in Discord at 9 o'clock. So we can just hang out here for a little bit, and then we'll raid out and go say hi to a birthday girl. What did you say? Do subs work for you now? What do you mean, do subs work for me? Because technically, I guess since you had already kind of done subs in advance, it's gonna still look like you're subbing, but technically, there shouldn't be a way for anyone new to sub. If that makes sense. Will you get the money? It's giving me a refund option. Yeah, you should try and get a refund. Zarias. Hi. Zarias, did you sub in advance, sir? Did you do a 3-month or something? Oops, indeed. Thank you, Zarias. Hopefully that was a continuation and not a new sub, because you shouldn't be able to do a new sub. That should be turned off. It's auto-renew monthly. Okay. Because I'm not an affiliate anymore, see if you can get your money back. As much as I appreciate it, I don't want you to go without the funds. You know what I mean? Super kind of you, but I would try and get your funds back if you can. And Killa, it sounds like you have that option perhaps, so see if it'll work. I don't know. I've never I've never tried to do a refund on Twitch before for that kind of thing, so I don't know. Yeah, so if anyone's curious, feel free to check out that link and watch that video whenever you want. It's about 6 minutes, but it explains why I have removed my affiliate status. The other curious thing is, if I ever wanted to bring it back, which I probably won't, would it let me? And how would that work? I have no idea. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Thank you for your kindness and your generosity, Zarias. I appreciate it. So for those of you that don't know, Zarias is one of 3 brothers, and they all used to stream independently, but now they've come together under the Broalition. All 3 of them are sharing one streaming channel, and they all have their schedules so that during a week each of them can stream, and it's all under one banner, which is really cool. I admire that effort. That's pretty awesome. Let me see if I can is it just Broalition, Zarias? I forget how it's actually. I gotta look. Nope, it's not Broalition. What is it? Gosh darn it. I can't remember. It's too new. I know I can find After Hours Broalition. That's it. I think I've got this right. After Hours Broalition. Yes, that's it. So yeah, 3 brothers, all streaming under one name. After Hours Broalition. Yep, you're late, Zarias. I already got it. But Zarias, I with my recording stuff, so I mentioned I got hired to play the role of this lawyer, Jason Allen. I recorded episode 3 of 4 today and sent that off. I am just waiting for the company to get back to me so I can check it out and see if I need to do any revisions. But it was pretty sweet to get that done. In fact, thank you. I'll listen to it tomorrow and get back to you. Okay, so they've received the email, but she hasn't had a chance to listen to it yet. So yeah, it's been an interesting learning process for me because, you know, I do a lot of narration, like with books and stuff, which is great. But when it comes to scripts and acting as a character that has a certain temperament about them, especially when it comes to the not safe for work scenes, which are in 3 of the 4 episodes, I have to be really on my game when it comes to the type of sound and tone that I'm producing for this podcast radio show kind of thing. And so yeah, it's like the first chapter, I think we did like 4 revisions on different areas so that I could really give them the type of, well, recording that they were looking for, the type of sound that they wanted. Episode 2, a little bit of that, not as much. And so now I'm hoping that in episode 3, after learning all this stuff and applying what I've been learning, that I'll have even less or none at all for episode 3. So we'll see. We will see. But yeah, I'm under a time frame to get this done. I have until the 21st, so I've got plenty of time. But yeah, it's definitely a first as far as the actual script and character portrayal goes. But it's cool. I'm having fun with it. So, very happy to be a part of it. And hopefully, you know, if they find my voice helpful for other work down the road, hopefully they'll bring me in. The interesting thing is, I was actually auditioning for a previous radio show. I forget exactly what the what the story was about, the character I was going to play. But she came back to me and said, you know, you have a great voice. You sound awesome in this character. She's like, however, I think you'll actually be better in the next one that we're doing. So we're not going to give you the role for this one, but we want you to play the role in the next one. So I was like, okay, well, that's fine. You know, that's cool. And this one I'm doing pays more, so that's also helpful. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, it's definitely a learning process for some of this stuff. But I'm really happy to be in the voice acting world. Oh, and for those of you that are curious, the whole house thing, we're going to look at a house on Saturday. And if it turns out to be the one, or one that we like, we may end up putting an offer in. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But when I stream on Sunday, I'll have an update for you as to how we like the house or not. So, but anyway, I'm rambling. No one likes a rambler. So here's what we're gonna do. Our friend Carly, it's her birthday today. She's doing a very long stream. I think it keeps extending with raids and subs and all that kind of stuff. We would have raided Stunt Mama, but I believe she's going to be done here in the next 20 minutes or so. So we're not going to raid her, but we will raid Chaotic Carly instead. Alright, the raid's up. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. We'll get back to this book on Sunday, continuing with chapter 3. If you're planning to be in Discord in 15 to 20 minutes to hear me read Fourth Wing, you are welcome to join. will be in the event chat. You can join and be muted the whole time. That's totally fine. You can be on camera if you want. Doesn't matter. Up to you. But I will see you there. And if not, as always, please, please, please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Thank you for supporting me. And I will see you next time. Good night.